Hello Slapafish community, and welcome back to another World Tanks console video. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 tier 10s that I much prefer the tier 9 over the tier 10. So this is very much opinion based, this is my opinion, so yeah. Also, if there's any tank that, any tier 10 that you much rather play the tier 9 than the tier 10, leave it in the comment section below and see if I agree with you or not. So, let's just start off. The Sheridan, I much prefer the T49 over the Sheridan. I don't know what it is, but I just really prefer the T49 over the Sheridan. I do not like the Sheridan in World War II, but the Sheridan in Cold War, it's a very different story. I really do like the Sheridan in Cold War. I don't know why. It just feels way better in Cold War. In World War II, I think the Sheridan sucks. I don't know what it is. I like the T49. T49 is really good. They both use the same 152mm gun. The Sheridan has way better statistics all around with the 152. And yeah. But some reason I just much prefer the T49 over the Sheridan. I guess it's because the T49 is a much smaller target hit. And the T49 also fights tier 7s, being at tier 9. So that 152 really does hit tier 7s really hard. So, yeah. Really enjoy the T49. Can't stand the Sheridan. So, the next one is the AMX M451 versus the AMX M454. Now, I don't hate the 54 like I do the Sheridan. I just much prefer the tier 9, the AMX M451. The armor just works way better for me at tier 9. Also, the tier 9 doesn't really have a lower plate if you look at the two tanks. The tier 9 gets a 120 and a 127, both fantastic guns. One has the DPM advantage and the penetration, and the 127 has the weird 470 alpha. It's a very unique alpha. And I do feel like the 51 is way faster than the 54. I don't know about analytics wise, but I just feel like the 51 is just much faster than the 54. Also, the 54 does have a 120 and I believe a 130 gun, so that's not the difference. It gets the same 120 as the tier 9, but I just prefer the 51 over the 54. Maybe just because I've had really good games in the tier 9. And yeah. So the next one is the Conquer versus the FV215B. Now, the Conquer versus the FV215B. I don't really like the Conquer or the Super Conquer, but this is more of a the FV kind of lacking. I would much rather play the Chieftain Mark 6 between the 3 tier 10s. Between the Super Conquer, the Chieftain Mark 6, and the FV215B. Chieftain Mark 6 is much better than this tank. The FV215B just doesn't have enough shells. I think it gets 30 or 35 shells. It just runs out really fast with how good the DPM is, and only hitting for 400. It does have really good DPM. I can't fault it, but the armor doesn't hold up. It can't side scrape because it has V-points on the side where it would side scrape, being a backwards turreted tank. And also this tank gets set on fire a lot. Now, to make me really want to play the FV again, like the FV215B, it needs like an armor buff and more shells. Those two things that happen to this tank, it would definitely get me to play this tank way more often. Also guys, if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing because it's free and helps on the channel a ton. And also liking and disliking guys. So yeah. So let's move on to the Type 4 versus the Type 5. Now, I've actually expressed my opinion on the Type 5 versus the Type 4 before, and I am very much in the minority here, where most people prefer the Type 5 over the Type 4. I just feel like the Type 4's armor just works way better, and also the Type 4 can actually backwards side scrape. And the replay that I'm going to be showing for the Type 4, you're actually going to see me backwards side scraping. I try to mainly focus on backwards side scraping for this video, but to show off what I was talking about. So the Type 5, no matter if you're looking at the front or the back, the front and the back look identical. And it has like these little edges where you can actually like pin if they load premium. So in the Type 5 line, if a tank loads premium and they can go through your armor, there's pretty much nothing you can do. But with the Type 4, you can, because you can backwards side scrape because it has the flat back with the long edges. And so you can actually just side scrape and they can't pin you, which is hilarious. And you just pop around with your 15 or 14 centimeter gun, whichever you prefer. I prefer the 15 centimeter because I like a big therpy gun. And smack somebody for 1100 and go back to side scraping. I just much prefer the Type 4 over the Type 5. I love the Type 4. Can't stand the Type 5. I mean, I play the Type 5 occasionally, but Type 4, I even have a mark of excellence in my Type 4. Now, move on to my fifth and final tank. Now, this one actually disappointed me greatly. I was really looking forward to this tier 10, and the tier 10 is the Badger. The Badger versus the Tortoise. Now, the Tortoise leads into two tier 10 tank destroyers. It leads into the FE215B183, the Death Star, and the FE217 Badger. Now, the Badger, I really thought the Badger was just going to be like a T110A3 with less armor, but DPM. Crazy DPM. That's what I was expecting. Play the Badger, armor doesn't really work. Especially if they get your lower plate, you just lose all your hit points and they butcher you so badly in the Badger. I've just not actually been able to get the Badger to work for me as I can do the Tortoise. Almost every single game in the Tortoise, it didn't matter if I was stock or fully upgraded in the Tortoise. No skills or skills. The Tortoise, almost every single game I've had in the Tortoise has been amazing. I've almost 3-marked my Tortoise while grinding through the dang thing. The armor just works way better, especially because Wargaming buffed the Tortoise line. The Tortoise line got an armor buff like a while ago, and the Tortoise got a huge armor buff. This is when I think I was still back in the AT-15 or something like that. And since the armor buff, the armor just works so much better. You can use your 10 degrees of gun depression, and you can hide the cupola on the right side. Yes, that's weak point, but it's pretty heavily armored, and people do struggle to hit it. And if you can wiggle back and forth, and you can actually manage to like angle around a corner to hide that cupola, the armor just works really, really good. Also, the Badger and the Tortoise have literally the same DPM. It's off by 9. The Badger has 9 more DPM. It hits for 470, unlike the Tortoise that hits for 400. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like the Tortoise just, you're having the same DPM when you can fight tier 7s and tier 8s. Yes, you can fight tier 8s and tier 10s, but it's more often that you fight tier 8s and tier 9s rather than tier 10s. And you can fight tier 7s. But yeah, also, you have multiple guns to pick through the Tortoise. The 120 is not the only good gun in the Tortoise. You can go back to, I don't remember what the actual gun caliber call it is, what the British call it. It's like a pounder or something, 90 pounder, I don't know. I don't actually remember. 32 pounder? I don't remember. It's the middle gun. But that can give you way more DPM. If you spam premium in that gun, you can get so good in DPM. So, yeah guys, those are the 5 5 tier 10s, I recommend staying at tier 9. That I much prefer the tier 9 over the tier 10. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. Also, remember Slapafish, because of all that, and peace out. See ya.